explosively. 3 people told me off record. 2 people who have this in a written communication from Charlie. One who is a Turning Point USA donor, and I would say very much one of the white knights in this. The very day before Charlie Kirk died, he expressed,
I've been up all night putting together videos, and wow, things are getting interesting again. Candace has said this before, but now Erika Kirk is stepping into the spotlight with her new round of interviews, and you know what that means. Tons of questions flying around everywhere. Some of those questions seem carefully planned, maybe even rehearsed, while others feel more off the cuff. But one thing's for sure, it's got people talking. When it comes to Turning Point, it's like they can't keep their stories straight anymore. Every time something happens, they jump to respond, but half the time what they say doesn't match what was said before. It's almost like watching a media scramble happen in real time. Blake says one thing while sitting in the car right after the incident, then suddenly Andrew jumps in like, wait, we need to talk about the Mikey McCoy situation. So Blake tells his version, but then later, another version pops up from someone else. It's wild how quickly the stories shift depending on who's talking. Then Rob McCoy steps in with his explanation, and just when you think that's the final word, Mikey comes along saying, nah, that's not how it went down. And boom, now there's another version floating around. It's like a never-ending loop of corrections, adjustments, and contradictions that just keep spinning. Honestly, it reminds me of those big media personalities who never admit when they're wrong. You'll never hear someone on a primetime news desk say, hey, I messed up yesterday. Nope. They just move on and hope everyone forgets. That's exactly what this situation feels like. No one's owning up, everyone's scrambling, and the stories just keep changing by the day. They never admit it. Even when you point out something totally off or flat out inconsistent, they just keep pushing forward like nothing ever happened. It's like the truth doesn't even slow them down. They just ignore it and move right along. That's exactly what Turning Point has been doing since the day Charlie passed, pretending like everything
that he thought he was going to be killed. He told these people, I think they're going to kill me, okay? He did not express that to me, so I am telling you this based off the testimony of 3 people. And I am saying this because I hope that these people, who I think are good, will be inspired to come forward with that. Now, again, those conversations I had were off record. I honor that. If I say it's off record, it stays off record. But I'm hoping
thing adds up when it clearly doesn't. Now here's where things get even more tangled. Candace Owens has been repeating the same message for a while now, but this time Erika Kirk actually addressed it during her recent interviews. And once again, a major contradiction popped up. It's like they forget what each other said weeks earlier, and now the stories just don't line up anymore. So here's what's going down. Candace made her point, Erika responded, but when you line up what both of them said, something doesn't match. I'll play that part later, but before we get there, this is what I was thinking. I've been sitting here in my editing setup, still in my editing uniform, putting all the pieces together, and wow, some of these connections are just wild. You guys know Candace mentioned the White Knight, right? The mysterious person who supposedly got that text message before everything unfolded? Well, at first I really thought I knew who she meant. There's this guy, John Mappin. Yeah, he's been around from the very start. He's not some random name. He's been one of the earliest supporters of Turning Point, even helping launch their branch overseas. He's always been close to Candace, and back when Charlie was around, he had their backs in a big way. He gave them awards, showed up for events, and kept defending them whenever criticism came their way. So naturally, I thought, it's gotta be him, because John has been the ultimate defender. He's always praising Candace and saying how much he and his wife admire her. But then I thought, if he was the one who got that text message, would he really just stay silent and let Candace spin out there on her own? Maybe, maybe not, because stepping forward with something like that would change everything. It would pull him right into the center of this entire story. And once you're in that deep, people start digging, connecting dots, and asking questions you might not want to answer. That kind of exposure could easily spill into his personal and business life, and that's no small thing.
That watching what I am doing and feeling the energy that is rising across the world for people who want to know what the heck happened on 9/10, that, you know, they will be brave and they will say, yeah, Charlie did the day before he died think that he was going to be killed, and maybe tell us, who is they? Well, for once and for all, who is they? Who is the they that he thought were going to kill him?
So maybe he's just staying quiet to avoid all that heat. But honestly, I'm not totally sure. It's one of those things where every clue points in one direction, but something still doesn't sit right. Then out of nowhere, another name pops up. This guy, Harrison Smith. Before Candace even mentioned the white knight, Harrison posted something that made everyone raise their eyebrows. He claimed he'd heard from someone close to Charlie, someone who supposedly warned that Charlie believed a certain person might try to get rid of him if he ever turned against them. Now that's a heavy statement to put out there. The timing of it makes it even stranger because it either came right before or right after everything went down. And the weird part, no one really followed up on that. It just floated around online for a while, then vanished into the noise. I remember seeing it at the time and thinking, wait, what? That's way too specific to ignore, but sure enough, the story got buried like it was nothing. All of it together just paints this messy picture. Different people talking, contradicting each other, posting cryptic things online, and then going silent when things start to heat up. It's like a storm of half-truths and rumors swirling around, and no one wants to be the one caught in the middle. So now let's get into what Erika actually said about those messages Charlie supposedly sent out before everything happened. She gave her explanation, but honestly, something about it just doesn't sit right. I've really tried to be fair with her, but I've got to be honest, I don't buy it, at least not completely. Here's why. When she says she checked his phone and didn't find any message like that, it raises more questions than it answers. How could she even know where to look? Think about it. If you're trying to search through someone's entire phone, every chat, every message, that's a massive task. You'd have to go through hundreds, maybe thousands of texts. And here's the tricky part. Can you even do that easily on an iPhone? I don't think so. Unless there's some secret search feature I don't know about, it's not that simple to just pull up one keyword across every conversation. And I'm pretty sure Charlie used an iPhone.
Some degree, and had made the conscious choice that I may be taken out early, not saying he knew that day, but that he had any inkling that this might come his way and that he intentionally chose to move forward with faith in God.
It's interesting because we always...
Right, so if that's the case, how could she confidently say she searched everything? And now let's imagine for a moment that she did go through all his texts one by one. That's hours of scrolling, reading, and cross-checking. And even then, could she guarantee she saw everything? Probably not. So when Erika says, I have his phone, and I know for a fact he never said that, that statement alone feels a bit shaky. It's a classic debate move. When someone wants to sound definitive, they lead with authority. It's like saying, trust me, I've got the proof right here. But if you actually think about the logistics, it's not that simple. Just because someone has the phone doesn't mean they've uncovered every message or conversation on it. That's where I start questioning it. I mean, I've got thousands of unread emails sitting on my own phone, plus hundreds of unopened texts. If I had to dig through all of that to find one specific message, there's no way I'd catch every single one. So how could she possibly claim full certainty? And here's another angle. What if Charlie wasn't even using regular text messages for those kinds of conversations? What if most of it happened over encrypted apps like WhatsApp or Signal? If that's the case, it's a whole different story. You'd need access to separate accounts, backups, maybe even passcodes. Even if she could search through one app, there's no way to guarantee he didn't say something elsewhere. That's why her statement feels more like an attempt to shut the conversation down than to actually clarify anything. Once she says, I have his phone, it immediately disarms people. No one wants to challenge that, but logically it still leaves a big gap. So when she insists there's nothing there, it sounds more like confidence meant to silence doubt rather than evidence that truly clears things up. It's like she's trying to close the case before anyone gets the chance to double check. And that's what makes this situation even more confusing. The story sounds neat on the surface, but when you dig into the details, it just doesn't fully add up. So let's talk about that line. They're going to get rid of me. Why would Erika even bring that up the way she did? Maybe it's grief, maybe it's confusion. Losing a husband suddenly would leave anyone shattered. Nobody wants to imagine what that kind of pain feels like, but still, the logic behind her explanation doesn't quite hold up when you start piecing the timeline together. Here's where things get even stranger. There's a statement from Frank Turek, and according... I have unbelievable amounts of death threats. My kids have kidnapping threats, death threats. Our whole team has death threats. We knew that there was always going to be a threat, but Charlie and I we promised each other we would never live in fear. And he would say, if they're going to get me, they're going to get me. But he was not messaging people the day before saying, I'm going to be murdered, they're coming after me, someone's going to kill me. He didn't say that. And I have his cell phone. To him, Charlie said something unsettling a full month before everything happened. That would have been August. Now let's rewind one step further. What came before August? July. And July wasn't just any month, that was when one of Turning Point's biggest events took place. At that July event, a lot went down. There were speeches, debates, and behind-the-scenes tension that many people later whispered about. Tucker Carlson was there, and after he spoke, there was a moment that stood out. A donor, reportedly a woman with significant influence, walked right up to Charlie and told him, "You can't do this." Imagine the boldness of confronting someone at their own event like that. She must have had serious money and power tied into the organization to even think about saying something like that in public. So now let's look at the chain of events. July 13th, Dave Smith has his debate, Tucker gives his speech, and behind the scenes, the atmosphere is tense. Then fast forward to August. Charlie reportedly starts telling close friends like Megan and Frank that people inside the circle are questioning his loyalty. He was frustrated, saying things like, "What do you mean? Whose side am I on? I'm American. I represent this country." He couldn't understand why people were treating him like he'd turned on them just because he worked with Tucker or gave space to certain voices. According to what's been shared, Charlie was deeply bothered by the accusations. He said people were questioning his morality, sending him messages, and even suggesting he'd betrayed them. That's a heavy thing to carry when you're running an organization tied so closely to your identity and reputation. Now, when he told Megan he had dozens of messages from people challenging his decisions, it really showed how much pressure he was under. Around that same time, he reportedly said something that stuck with everyone who heard it. He mentioned that he was increasing his personal security because he knew they wanted to harm him. That claim came directly from Frank Turek, who said Charlie told him that in confidence. Whether it was just paranoia from stress or something more serious, it definitely paints.
Didn't say that. And so what I do know is that we believe in the power of prayer. And what I do know is that we believe in our sovereign God. And what I do know is that that night before, we did what we usually did before tours. We said our prayer.
He wrote me this: "Please pray for me. I'm under the gun on something right now. Prayers appreciated." I texted him and I said, "I hope you've increased your security detail." He texted me back. He said, quote, "I have. I know they want me dead."
It's a picture of someone who felt surrounded by tension and doubt. Then there's Candace, who also brought up similar claims. She said Charlie had sent messages to people expressing fear for his safety. According to her, she even verified that with multiple people off the record. So if both Frank and Candace shared accounts pointing in the same direction, that's hard to ignore. And that's where things get complicated, because Erika's version doesn't seem to align with any of that. If Charlie really made those comments to close friends, how could she be so certain no such messages exist? Especially when multiple people outside their immediate circle are saying otherwise. It's like two different realities are being described, one where everything's calm and accounted for, and another where Charlie felt cornered, doubted, and possibly threatened. And when timelines, witness accounts, and personal testimonies start clashing like this, it leaves everyone wondering what the real truth behind those final weeks actually was. It actually lines up if you think about it. This is one of those moments where Frank's account feels believable. Everything matches perfectly with the timeline. Around this period, Charlie was reportedly in full energy mode, telling everyone around him to push harder, to give it their all. He even told Tucker, "Go Max," and encouraged Dave Smith and Officer Tatum to go hard. They all confirmed that he was fired up, focused, and determined to keep momentum going. Then came September 9th, his conversation with Ben Shapiro, and wow, that one raised eyebrows. Watching it back, it really feels like Charlie was walking a fine line, just one step away from saying something huge. It almost seemed like he was setting up a future interview with Candace herself. The tone of that discussion was different, tense, layered, and a little uneasy. During that talk, Charlie made comments that definitely stood out, mentioning "you Philadelphians" in a joking tone, but with an edge that caught everyone's attention. The moment he said it, Ben's face said it all. His expression shifted like, "Oh, we're really going here now?" It wasn't your usual friendly back and forth. You could sense a mix of discomfort and disbelief as the conversation unfolded. If you go back and rewatch that interview, it doesn't come off like two people joking around. It feels like one of them, Charlie, was trying to say something deeper, while Ben looked unsure how to respond. That tension says a lot, and the timing of it matches perfectly with reports that Charlie was sending out group messages around that same week, saying things like, "I might need to distance myself from certain people," and hinting at issues with particular donors. He reportedly wrote about not wanting to be bullied and refusing to be boxed in by anyone's expectations. Those are powerful words, and they show that he was under serious pressure. So when Frank says Charlie told him directly, "I know they want to harm me," and when Candace claims multiple people received messages with similar tones, it all starts forming a consistent picture. According to Candace, she verified it with 3 people, 2 of whom had written proof. Frank, on his part, mentioned a call and a text exchange. None of that sounds random. It sounds like multiple witnesses describing the same thing in their own ways. And even though Erika now insists none of that ever happened, her version doesn't seem to fit neatly into the timeline everyone else is describing. That's where the trust cracks start to show. I've really tried to give Erika the benefit of the doubt because, let's be real, she's in a devastating situation. Losing her husband and being thrown into public speculation is unimaginable. But when she says she checked the phone and there's nothing there, it doesn't fully make sense, especially when others close to the situation keep saying the opposite. Maybe, just maybe, she's saying that because she wants all the chaos and theories to stop. Maybe she's emotionally and mentally exhausted from seeing people online dissect every word, every rumor, every text. If that's the case, it would explain why she's so determined to shut down every claim before it spreads further. It's possible she even found something on the phone but decided it was best not to fuel more speculation. Maybe she thought,
through the door, drop his bags, Daddy's home. Take his phone, Friday night, Shabbat Shalom. He would walk through the door, drop his bags, Daddy's home. Take his phone, Friday night, Shabbat Shalom.
We're all grieving in our own way, and they are trying to find the answer to something that happened that was so evil. They are trying so hard, and I get that. We're doing the same. Anytime we hear a lead or anytime we hear anything, we send it to the authorities. Please dig into this. No rock will be unturned. I want justice for my husband, for myself, for my family, more than anyone else out there. So for me, you want to keep telling me to come down while we're building? I don't have time for that. But here's my breaking point on that.
if I say there's nothing, the noise will die down. And honestly, who could blame her for wanting peace after everything? Still, her version leaves a lot of people unsure, especially those who were personally told otherwise. At the end of the day, maybe Erika just doesn't want to be tied to any of this anymore. Maybe she's intentionally separating herself from Candace and all the talk surrounding Turning Point. Saying, I have his phone, he didn't say that, might be her way of drawing a line, refusing to participate in anything that keeps this fire burning. But whether it's exhaustion, fear, or simply wanting to move on, it doesn't erase how strange the details look when laid side by side. The timeline still adds up in favor of what Frank and Candace described. Their accounts connect, the messages align, and Charlie's final week seemed filled with tension, confusion, and unspoken warnings. So while Erika might be trying to silence the noise, her denial has only made people dig deeper, and now everyone's wondering what the truth really is behind those final haunting messages. That could very well be the case, but honestly, when I hear Erika say that, I just can't bring myself to fully trust it. Not on this specific point. Because let's be real, how could anyone possibly go through every single message on a phone like Charlie's? That's what doesn't add up for me. I mentioned before that I've got over 700 unread texts and more than 13,000 unread emails, and that's just me. Now imagine how much communication someone like Charlie had. He wasn't just a public figure, he was a CEO, a father, a leader, and a media personality all at once. There's no way he had a small inbox or a tidy phone log. The man probably had hundreds of messages coming in daily from staff, donors, friends, and media contacts. So to say she searched through everything and found nothing? I'm sorry, but that's hard to believe. Even if she genuinely tried, there's just no realistic way she covered every chat, every thread, every hidden folder or app. It feels like a statement made to calm things down rather than one built on actual confirmation. And that's where it gets frustrating because this one contradiction changes so much.
Come after me, call me names, I don't care. Call me what you want, go down that rabbit hole, whatever. But when you go after my family, my Turning Point USA family, my Charlie Kirk Show family, when you go after the people that I love, and you're making hundreds and thousands of dollars every single episode, going after the people that I love because somehow they're in on this,
it throws the whole narrative into question, especially when others have said the complete opposite. Candace has been vocal, saying straight up, if anyone can prove she's lied about this, she'll stop everything she's doing. That's a bold claim, and so far, no one's come forward with proof that she was wrong. Meanwhile, Turning Point and Erika seem to keep sidestepping the same points instead of clearing them up directly. If Candace ever does back off from this situation, maybe that would bring some peace for them, but for me, I'd still be sitting here like, wait, what just happened? Because there are still way too many gaps left unfilled. The timeline doesn't match perfectly, the testimonies conflict, and the truth still feels buried under layers of denial and silence. But hey, if things keep unfolding the way they are, maybe we'll see someone finally step up and connect all the dots. If Ian's in, maybe we'll start a show called The Charlie Kirk Case Hour. Imagine diving into this 4 nights a week, breaking everything down piece by piece. Okay, maybe that's a joke, Bob, but admit it, it would be pretty entertaining. Anyway, that's where things stand for now. It's messy, it's tense, and it's far from over. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.